We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Q Time is a classic Atlanta soul food restaurant located in the historic West End. Q Time Soul Food is a family business started by Fred and Christine Crenshaw. Come on in, relax, and sink your chops into our tantalizing, mouth-watering, distinctive soul food with a twist, the Q Time way. 1120 Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, or call your order in at 404-758-2881. Do you miss your mama's cooking? Then come on down to Q Time, an Urban Passport member.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
From novice
yeah. I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. I I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, but he said he wanted to assure you that he will be in Atlanta, so don't get it twisted. He's made his plans and he's taking care of business early. I guess he's being Santa and checking his socks twice, and not in nice list, but he said he'll be there to make sure that he is in the house. With that being said, I'm going to make sure that we provide the same authority to talk about North Carolina Central as we do with Jackson State. We have in-house expertise from Charles Bishop. And so we'll also have Joshua Sims join us in the second half where we'll really get into the matchup. This time we're going to look at the coaches. On Sunday, you can go back and we talked about the players, offense, defensive, in terms of what that looks like. So we took you down that rabbit hole and really talked about some offensive line play and things of that nature. This week, on the second half of the show, we're going to really get into what are some thoughts in terms of the coaches? How are they going to handle the week leading up to this? How are they going to prepare in terms of their matchups? What is the thoughts from the offensive coordinators? What do you schematically look at from the defensive coordinators? So we'll get in a little bit of that banner to get you prepared this week as we have this collision course between the number 1 and number 2 teams in terms of Black college football coming in with big time ranking, so it should be fun. With that being said, we have a bit of somber news to pass on to you as we get started. But let me say, welcome to episode 343 inside the HBCU Sports Lab Show and Podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Charles Bishop. We are filming from our home studios and sitting in a Signal Live at KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, that's multi-Hall of Famer in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. As I said, I have a bit of some tough news, somber news to come out there with MEAC mourns the passing of former Commissioner Harris from MEAC Sports. Mid-Eastern Africa Conference mourns the passing of former Commissioner Charles S. Harris, who passed away on Wednesday, December 7th. He was 71. Quote, our hearts and thoughts go out to Harris' family and everyone whose life Charles touched. End quote. MEAC Commissioner Sonny Steele said, we are appreciative of his contributions to the MEAC and its member institutions through his tenure, and we recognize the impact he had on intercollegiate athletics as a whole, end quote. Harris took over the commissioner in July of 1996, succeeding Kenneth Free, becoming the league's second full-time commissioner. He served in the role until April 2002. During his tenure, Norfolk State was admitted to the conference, and women's bowling was sanctioned as a conference-sponsored sport. So with that, I'd like to say a moment of silence on behalf of former Commissioner Charles Harris. Unfortunately, Charles, the business we in the time of the years, as you're blessed with the ability to see more and season through life, you also get to see those that come into life in terms of newborns, but you also see those that cross into the afterlife and become ancestors, if you would. With that being said, we do have some brighter news. There was talk about everywhere about this, and we couldn't get into the game where you talk about what's taking place and should somebody coach who going to be the next coach. Well, it sounds like folks in Jackson State University said, slow down, particularly VP of Athletics, Ashley Robinson. He's got this. Today, they announced that Jackson State names T.C. Taylor next head coach. One of the greatest Jackson State football Tigers to ever don the blue and white has ascended to the position of head coach in his alma mater. T.C. Taylor has been named the 22nd head coach of JSU football. That's Jackson State. The block, as he will say. He will officially take the reins of the program following conclusion of the Celebration Bowl and will be formally introduced in January. The former Jackson State quarterback and wide receiver has been a part of the Jackson State football staff since 2019, coaching tight ends and wide receivers, and has played a key role in a historic run over the past 2 seasons of Tiger football. JSU has posted a 23-2 record over the past 2 seasons, winning back-to-back Southwestern Athletic Conference championships and posting consecutive undefeated conference seasons. Quote, he is saying, I am excited to announce T.C. Taylor as our next head coach, end quote, says Jackson State Vice President, Director of Athletics, Ashley Robinson. Quote, T.C.'s passion and love for Jackson State University is unquestioned. His fervent, desire and hunger to lead his alma mater as head coach is unparalleled. His standing and excellence as a player, as a JSU Tiger, and his career trajectory as an assistant coach has prepared him for this opportunity. His vision and plan to continue the championship excellence of Jackson State football elevated him to the top of the search process. I look forward to him leading our program in 2023 and into the future. Let's rally behind Coach Taylor by investing our program at jsutigers.com/football gift, and let's continue to make history, end quote. Big time, big time. You can go check out some more of this. You can get quotes from the president, obviously, quotes from Taylor, in terms of his feeling. But I think we're going to take you right into a video that really takes you inside, if you haven't seen it, in terms of how many people felt about this hire.
All right. Well, with that being said, fellas, I know we talked about giving you all an update on your next head coach here at Jackson State University. You know, fellas, when you are successful and you're doing well, you have to keep your house straight. You have to stay within your house. And I'm happy today to announce.
Oh, let me go make sure they come in. Make sure you come.
I'm happy to announce. Make sure he's ready to come in, coach. You know, the 22nd head coach of Jackson State University. Is he ready to come in, coach?
Give me the thing music.
Give me my music.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm going to be quiet for a minute because we have somebody that is extremely close and proud of the program. You can go watch the whole video. It's about 6 minutes long. We played you the first 2 minutes. You can go to the pregame show, obviously with Charles and Neely. With that being said, let me be quiet. Charles, what are your thoughts?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for TC. He has waited for this moment to take over this program. Probably if there was no Coach Prime, TC would have been the head coach, prior to Coach Prime entering the fray. But, I'm just excited that he's getting the opportunity to live his dream. This is something that he's wanted. He has come up through ranks from JUCO to assistant coaching ranks. He's paid his dues, and now he gets to take over this program with this fervent fan base. And he has looked forward to this challenge for quite some time. He's a Jackson State guy. He bleeds blue and white. He loves this program, and he's going to do whatever it takes to keep this program in the upper echelon of the SWAC. So I'm excited. I can't wait to give him a big hug tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited I've had a chance to grow and know him, not the level that you had. Obviously, you spent some time at Texas Southern University, and then ever since then, kept up. And what's weird when you get a chance to connect with coaches or athletic directors, you kind of get to be a consultant, even on the commissioner level. It's not just what you learn in terms of what the direction, but you get to learn the human side of these individuals, and their work ethic and their connection to young people and for fans and alumni. But more than that, you get to see them go through process. People will never know how close TC Taylor was to whatever programs over the years, and how long the answer has, but he just kept pushing forward until ultimately he got a chance where the answer was yes. So that's amazing. But that's enough of that side of it, because I think really what becomes interesting is now I get to tell some stories in terms of this match. This becomes even that much more fun when you think about the fact that TC Taylor was the offensive coordinator the last time North Carolina Central went to the Celebration Bowl.
Indeed.
Obviously, he went last year as coach and coming right off the heels of doing some different coaching and even having a little bit of stint on some offensive coordinating roles. So he was intimately involved in a lot of that. And so now ultimately coming out of this, you're going to have two coaches coming into this, if you would, at some point, that played at the institution that they're connected to.
Right.
So it's fascinating with visualization of what that looks like as Coach Prime has this thing and he is moving on and stepping aside, which if you watch the rest of the video, really did a great job of thanking Ashley for the opportunity and then taking a step aside, literally, in regards to allowing TC to enter the picture. So what did that mean to me just in terms of seeing powerful African-American men and the joy of young men, older men, and the connection of what that looks like was just a powerful statement of us being able to love us. And so I wanted to leave it at that point, and we'll get a chance to chop it up a little more. We're going to take our break here. We're going to bring you back on the other side, and we come back with the opportunity to interview Tiffany Green, play caller, particularly of the Celebration Bowl. So we get a chance to see a little bit of the other side. We brought you Jay Walker that does the color commentary in terms of that. And now we want to connect you with another part of what that looks like with rich history and culture from HBCU institutions in terms of what that means. So stick with us after this first break, and we'll get back into it and bring you back with our interview.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson, Charles Bishop, and we have our guest, Ms. Tiffany Green, Tiffany Green, as you all know, is a play-by-play commentator for ESPN, covering a variety of collegiate sports, including basketball, football, softball, and volleyball. For those that may not know, you obviously see her quite a bit covering HBCU sports. She is the first African-American woman to serve as a play-by-play commentator for college football on ESPN. In terms of those lights, also Green is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Links Incorporated, and the National Association of Black Journalists. How you doing, Tiffany?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Dr. Cavil. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I must add that obviously that you are alumni of Florida A&M University. That is extremely important with that bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that. You know, I try not to talk too much about FAMU, but you know that's my heart.
I just don't want you to get in trouble with your people. FAMU School of Journalism, Graphic Communications. That's not going to be good.
That's right. That's right.
Well, let's get into some of this serious conversation. For those that may not know, quickly, where are you from and how did you get into the business?
I am from Tampa, Florida, and I am proud to say that I have returned to my hometown of Tampa, which is where I reside with my husband and 2 kids. But I got into this business really as right out of college, right? This is what I've always wanted to do. This is what I've said that I've wanted to do since I was a little girl. And my father was a great example in my household. I didn't get to see him on television. He was a pioneer here for Tampa TV with Fox affiliate here, but he was in radio when I came around. And so I always watched everyone gravitate to him and just know who he was. And he would be involved in all of the events around town. And I loved his knowledge base. I loved the way, you know, he was able to gain access to different things based on his profession. So that was a great influencer in my household outside of God just planting that dream in me, that seed in me.
Well, you've done well, made us all proud. Before I pass it to Charles, ask a follow-up question. I did want to talk a little bit about Black College Live. That I'm sure a lot of folks know that you do with Jay Walker outside of the play-by-play and him as a color. Talk a little bit about that show and what was the impetus to get that going. I really love what you all do on that, coming into the schools and getting everybody engaged and involved and showing some life to not just what you call on Saturdays with the football game.
Thank you. And I sincerely appreciate that. And honestly, all the credit goes to my partner, Jay Walker, who kind of hit me one time and said, hey, what do you think about this? If we kind of do our own version of, you know, game day, but we take it with, you know, a tailgating spin and just what the environment is like. We oftentimes are always trying to express to some, and sometimes it is hard to put into words what our HBCU experience is like and how wonderful it is and how much fun we have. So we wanted to see if we could capture that via what campus life was like, you know, providing historical context or perspective for the great people who have come through, giving you insight to just even a little blurb of the school profile, and just to really highlight all the goodness that takes place on HBCU campuses and the wonderful people that help to make it up. And what better way to do that than the platform that we've been given and graced with, than to show that on a weekly basis.
Before I give it to you, Charles, for those that are not aware, you can go to YouTube and catch Black College Live. You can go back and see some of the shows and obviously catch it live when it comes on. Charles, please follow up.
Oh, no doubt. Tiffany, I wanted to pivot and get into the game a little bit. Obviously, this is going to be a tremendous matchup with North Carolina Central and Jackson State. But for a lot of fans over here on the SWAC side of the ball, you call games for North Carolina Central as well as Jackson State. What are they going to see when they see this North Carolina Central football team?
I think you're going to see a well-balanced, well-coached football team, honestly. I think one of the things that has been stated throughout the years, and this year is it holds true as well, the physicality of North Carolina Central and from the MEAC schools in general. We've seen that kind of play out, and the numbers have certainly favored Mideastern Athletic Conference schools. So you're going to see a quarterback that really provides you a wonderful dual threat option. I mean, Davius Richard is strong, okay? And he may not have the same glitz or glamour. None of those guys on North Carolina Central do. And that's what their head coach, Trey Oliver, talks about. Hey, we just have, you know, some dudes on our team, but it's a matter of a complete ball squad, and Davius Richard, it starts there, which is the way he's been able to lead that team. His play has been indicative of that. The accolades and awards at the end of the season also scream that as loud. So I think this is a North Carolina Central team that not only is led by their quarterback, but you're also going to see a team that's really hungry, right? Like there's been so much conversation around the success of Jackson State that they want to prove that they belong, that they're just as good, if not better. So they're coming in with a chip on their shoulder, and many see them as underdogs. They're playing that theme up some, and they are equally as hungry, I feel like, as Jackson State.
Sure. When you stop and take a look at the intangibles that both teams bring, what are some of the things that jump out in terms of what it is that Jackson State does very well and things that North Carolina Central does very well?
Well, I give credit to Jackson State. They have had to deal with a lot of distractions really since not since the announcement and change in head coach with Coach Prime going to Colorado, but they've had cameras all around them. They've seen the attention and exposure rise, and they've been able to block out those distractions week in and week out. And that's not something that's necessarily easy to do for, 18 to 21 or 22-year-olds. And they've been able to do that. So I think that they have been primed and prepped, if you will, for this moment. And they've risen to the occasion throughout the, 3 seasons that Coach Prime has been there. So I think that's one of the things. And then 2, they've been able to play together exceptionally well for all of the talent that they have on that roster. I mean, probably one of the deepest in all of FCS. They've been able to find chemistry, gel, and play well together. You don't see a lot of back and forth on the sideline or teammates, kind of standoffish. They are a unit. They are a whole team, and I love that about what they've been able to do this season. They blocked out the distractions, and they found a way to use that talent on the field and come together, which has made them one of the most formidable opponents in all of FCS. On the other side, I kind of touched on it just a little bit with North Carolina Central. They're the sum of their parts, right? And so they have a number of good pieces, and they've come together to have, a great season for them. And I think the hunger that, again, I feel like I sense from their head coach has extended over week in and week out to really want to prove that they're the best team.
No doubt. 2 coaches, very dynamic coaches. Coach Prime, this will be his last go round here with Jackson State. Trey Aller, tremendous success in North Carolina Central, but similarities. What has brought them to this point in playing in this Celebration Bowl?
I think the discipline of their ball clubs, the structure with which they've been able to, build their programs. For Coach Prime, he's always preached smart, tough, fast, discipline, and we've seen that get stronger and stronger week in and week out. For him, he's going to tell you like it is, right? There is no sugarcoating. There is no holding back. This is what it is. And that competition that's been created in practice, I feel like has helped the desire and the yearning for wanting to achieve the dominance that they've set out to do this season. Well, equally, I think Trey Oliver has really echoed a very similar message with his group. He felt like this was a team that had the goods last year, but may have just come up a little bit short. So this year, they were out and wanting and hungry to do more. And Coach Oliver doesn't hold any punches either. I mean, he comes from the perspective of the old school way, right? Coached by Larry Little, earned his coaching stripes under Rob Broadway and Sam Washington. So, they both have this old school approach, but they're also going to shoot it to you straight, no chaser. So everybody feel like knows where they stand with each of their coaches and what is expected or required out of them. And they've been able to pull the best out of their players.
No doubt.
Tiffany, I wanted to follow up and ask in regards to the preparation for the game. Take us through what a week looks like in terms of preparing to do a play-by-play, particularly either this game or just in general. I guess the schedule comes out for what you do in the fall for HBCU sports particular, but other times, does it set up where they might give you a call a week before a game and say, hey, you're heading here? And how, if you would, walk us through what that looks like, the life in times of a play-by-play commentator for college sports.
Yeah, you try your absolute best to get the schedule as far in advance as possible. And while you know, assume that you're going to be covering a particular conference or a set of teams, you just never know. Right. I came this season in anticipating covering, primarily HBCU games. However, things get added to the schedule 7 days out, maybe even a couple of days out, depending upon our roster and play-by-play personnel. So on a typical week like this week, thankfully, I've had the opportunity to see both of these teams multiple times this season, Jackson State obviously the most. And so I'm going back and I'm sorting through the notes that I keep a log of throughout the season about what our coaches' calls and interviews have been like in the past. You're trying to just refresh or remind yourself of all the things that you've probably talked about through the year, but I need to revisit them, right? So I need to remind people that before there was a water crisis or like the freeze that they went through, Coach Prime was dealing with his health issues, last season. Just when they got all of their guys in from spring ball till fall ball, what that looked like and how the transfers, have made an impact on Jackson State, the profile that's been raised. So you're trying to remind yourself of the storylines. We oftentimes, Dr. Cavil, Chuck, we talk about this week in and week out. So we're so deeply ingrained in it that we forget, I know I have, to remind myself to pull back out and try to take a big picture look at everything, because for a large audience, they're not used to covering it week by week. They're not used to talking to players, so they just want the main bullet points for the season. Not only that, you're getting sent information constantly, whether it's from the sports information directors or reporters or people who cover on a consistent basis. You're checking social media. You're trying to acquire all of this information as best as possible and then sort through kind of like, okay, well, this is a theme that came from this press conference, or, this is an interesting nugget that, the player opened up about, or something schematically that the coordinator is looking to do. So this is a very long-winded way of saying that you put in a number of hours just trying to read articles, watch interviews, do coaches calls. That's what we were doing today. We spent probably 3 hours or so, which is a little bit longer than normal, with both teams, their head coaches and coordinators. And then we got players too. Then you're going to walkthroughs or practices. So you're constantly in a conversation or constantly in this mode of acquiring as much information as possible to be prepared to go wherever in a broadcast.
Thank you for that insight. Certainly want to be aware of your time, and thank you for your time. Last thing here would be remiss if we didn't give you a chance, because obviously you have a lot of the fans out there in general of the work, particularly HBCU framework, even more so. Right here, we have aspiring Charles Bishop Chuck is looking to continue to improve and get himself in that. But just as important, African-American women or women in general that are looking to take the next step. Are there any words of wisdom that you would share with these individuals talking about honing their craft so they can come in a space and be as strong as you are?
I would say that among the things that I felt like I did that helped to make me successful or get to this point, I tried everything. I didn't feel like I was too good for any job or position. So I started out as a part-time production assistant, floor director, audio operator, volunteered to shoot high school football, write highlights, whatever was necessary. I felt like I had a lot of experience in different newsroom type positions because that was the path that was available to me. Now there are so many more resources and outlets and opportunities for young people to create their own content, right? And as long as you're consistent in doing so, Dr. Cavil, Chuck, you guys have been consistently doing this well before we've gotten the different type of exposure now with HBCUs or a greater spotlight. That's been happening. So it speaks to the consistency, and that's something that you want to, work toward and have to be successful in this business. And then I would also say, the internships are important, and, honing your craft is important. Yes, but you have to also build relationships with people, because when you're looking to get in the door, or when people are thinking about this position opening, who do they think of? And it's not about who you know, but who knows you. And just letting your work speak for itself, that's one thing, but also having the added benefit of having relationships with people that can help put your hard work in front of others, or that they think of you, is also, I think, key towards the progression of one's career. So don't be afraid to try and do it all. And if you're not good at it, that's okay, because you put forth the effort to even understand it and learn it. And that versatility and those experiences will come back to help you in some form or fashion.
Well, you heard it here. I'm humbled, and thank you. That is Tiffany Green, play-by-play commentator for ESPN, covering a variety of collegiate sports and many things over the years. Just want to say again, thank you for your time. We'll be calling the Celebration Bowl. The crew, broadcast crew.
Yes, exactly.
Amen. I've been watching this for a long time, to be honest with you.
No problem. On television, fans will be treated by broadcast teams that include Jay Walker, Tiffany Green, and Tiffany Blackman. Meanwhile, Anish Shroff, Max Starks, and Harry Lyles Jr. will handle radio duties. Both broadcasts are set to begin at 12 p.m. Eastern on December 17th, as you know. Excited about this opportunity. So thank you for all you do. And again, for those that check out Black College Live as well, whenever you get a chance to really take a deeper dive in terms of HBCUs, if you want to get another side of what happens in terms of HBCU sports. Thank you again for your time, Pip.
Thank you, Dr. Phil. I appreciate it. And thank you, Chuck.
Oh, thank you,
Look forward to seeing you there.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing y'all as well. I appreciate your being lenient with me on my delay here.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. We know what it is. It's part of the business. Again, appreciate that time. It's everything for us.
No problem. Y'all be well. See you soon.
All right.
You too.
Take care.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. As I told you, Mike Washington is out on assignment, but I got Joshua Sims Sr. in here, the adjunct professor. Make sure he comes in and gives us an update. Obviously representing the MEAC in North Carolina Central, the Eagles, on the other side. So this should be fun because we got Charles Bishop representing the SWAC in Jackson State University, as you see, making sure we do that. Okay. See, looks like he's about ready to call a play.
Okay.
Put your headphones on. You call a play too. In terms of calling plays, we'll get to that because we're going to go to and break down these coordinators, both offensively and defensively. But I first want to start out with the head coaches. I want you all, because you all have a lens that people have not really considered or saw from that perspective of working with these individuals, obviously being relatively close with these individuals in terms of their practice time, meet them in the office. We get the chance, or I get the chance to deliver you information from these coaches, obviously from interviews, which is a little different. It certainly gives us some meaningful information. But now we're going to take you a deeper dive as we get prepared for this celebration mode. As it features, I can't say it enough, the #1 ranked Jackson State Tigers that are undefeated, 12-0 coming into this, versus the #2 team in North Carolina Central Eagles, 9-3. You talking about the best two teams in HBCU sports at the FCS level, 9-2, I should say. Thank you. Make sure I get it right in terms of that.
That's right. I like 93. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm trying to keep this plane on the track. I gotta be careful. Yeah, that's not my fault. So I'm gonna start with you, Joshua, since I did that to you, and you had to give me straight with the peace sign representing 2. Talk a little bit about Trey Auburn. What makes him special? What makes him unique? What do some of our listeners that are looking at this matchup, what don't they realize about Trey that they've only heard from interviews or what they've read from the paper articles or quotes?
Yeah, Doc. Man, this summer I had the opportunity to go home. You know, I always call North Carolina Central 1801 Fairwood Street home. I had a chance this summer to go home and, really just kind of peeking my head in, man, as a former player, as an alum, just had an opportunity to peek my head in and just go and say what's up to coach, man. And, when I got upstairs to the football offices, man, first thing I noticed was that, one, the football offices had moved. And they had a beautiful, nice top floor view, nice offices, man. They had expanded the office, did some renovations. But he was out in the hallway, and he was out in the seating area talking to one of our former players who played, man, I think this gentleman might have played back in the 60s and 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And I just sat there, man, and soaked up some game from these gentlemen who had played in the 60s and 70s and Trey in the 90s and myself in the 2000s, man. And just listen to these guys, man. I listen to these guys talk about what North Carolina Central football really means, what it really stands for, what are the principles and morals and values that we've got to get back to that would allow for us to be able to get back to a position where we felt like we've re-arrived back to where we were. And as I sat and listened to Coach Oliver, man, I listened to a gentleman who had been around the HBCU world as an assistant coach and as a coordinator, and finally having the opportunity to be back home and having what he felt like was his best team he had ever assembled. And so as we got into the season, man, and as Doc, as as I introduced myself to the world from a media perspective this season, a lot of the confidence that I gained in going into, this side of the media was because I had that conversation with him this summer. I hadn't thought about anything close to, doing an HBCU nightly or being on here with the generals and getting this game and understanding how to do this thing and do it the right way prior to talking to Coach Oliver. And so one of the things that I would like for people to understand about Coach Oliver before we get to Saturday is this man is North Carolina Central through and through. I saw what my brother, another one of the generals, Charles Bishop, I saw what his alma mater did today. And it really, really made me smile, man, because it made me remember what it felt like in 2019 when Trey came back home and became the head coach of North Carolina Central. And for us, man, what Trey represents for guys like myself who played there, and other guys who played there, Trey represents something that, man, is indescribable, man. It's a feeling. It's a feeling of getting back to being us, getting back to doing us, being focused, and not letting anything distract us from what the opportunity is and the task is at hand. And the task that happens to be at hand in this situation is we have a national championship on the line here. And we have an opportunity to put our program back where we know we should have never come off of. And so that's what Trey represents, man. That's who Trey is, man. He's North Carolina Central through and through. He bleeds maroon and gray. And for anybody who may not be familiar with our small school at 1801 Fayetteville Street, right across the train tracks from Duke, right in the middle of the Research Triangle Park, go look at Trey Oliver, and you'll learn everything you need to know about 1801 Fayetteville Street, Durham, North Carolina, and North Carolina Central University football and our university. So that's what I would say. That's what I would say, Doc.
Well said. Well said. Charles, obviously a lot is said about Coach Prime. And a lot of people think they know Coach Prime. And that's not necessarily their fault. Coach Prime has been out there and made sure that he's put a certain perspective of Coach Prime. Tell us a little bit, if you would, about Deion Sanders. You had a chance literally this summer to go see him, not just in his sanctum in regards to the coaching field, and you can share that perspective you want, but you actually got to see him at his home, literally his ranch. What would you talk about and share, folks, about Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, that we haven't been able to see in interviews?
That's a great question because and it's a tough question because Coach Sanders checks a lot of boxes. I had an opportunity to sit down and talk to him, and he's a complete open book. But in watching him, his business acumen is phenomenal. We were privy to sitting around listening to him talk to Under Armour executives in terms of what other schools have and what Jackson State doesn't. And to make sure that if you're going to outfit a certain school with Under Armour, make sure that it's at Jackson State because it's an Under Armour school as well. His business acumen, he understands his value. He knows how to leverage his brand. And he made a lot of positive things happen for Jackson State University. I don't think a lot of people know his film room prowess. That is one of the things that I was able to watch firsthand in terms of his preparation for games. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal to sit there and watch him call plays before they happen. It's phenomenal to sit there on the sideline and hear him sometimes maneuver defensive backs because he's already recognizing, what the receivers are doing. So to just give his DBs that extra second and a half of knowing what to do to prevent something from happening. He's a savant in the film room, and just watching him go through the ruminations of not only pushing this team hard, but loving on them just as hard as well. There's a reason why they love him like they do. He's been tremendous to be around, to be very honest with you, too, and to just glean some of that smart, fast, tough discipline, and you just put it into other aspects in regards to your life. He really embodies that he has wanted to put in this team, and they have lived up to that framework that he's put before them since 2020. Smart, tough, fast, discipline, and with character.
Great comments about both of y'all taking us behind the scene in terms of that. We're going to come back right after this and get into the offensive, defensive coordinators. We'll talk a little bit more about the matchups and X's and O's and what you see each of these coordinators trying to get done in these matchups. So stick with us. We'll be right back after the break as we come back and talk a little bit more about the Celebration Bowl that features number 1 versus number 2, North Carolina Central and Jackson State University. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As I said, we gave you some insights into the players this past Sunday, some of the key players to watch on. We just gave you an update in terms of the head coaches, giving you behind the scenes, and talk to you a little bit more about their inner workings of that. Let's get into the offensive coordinators. We'll start over here with North Carolina Central in terms of the coordinator there, if you would, Matt Leon. Am I pronouncing his last name correct?
Yep, Matt Leone.
Assistant coach, football offensive coordinator, and quarterback coach. What is his philosophy in terms of the games in just general, and then specifically, what direction do you think they want to go in this matchup?
Yeah, Doc, I think when he first got to Central, as all coordinators do, you do an evaluation of your talent. You figure out what you have. You figure out what you're probably going to need to go get. And I believe his philosophy when he got to Central was different than what he ended up having to make his philosophy. Since he's gotten to Central, we are an extremely balanced team. As close as you can get to a 50-50 balance between the run and the pass, that's what we have. Between that three-headed monster we have in the backfield, as far as both our backs and our quarterback, who essentially becomes the third back, you see a balance that we can be able to establish the run, and then utilizing the run to be able to throw off of, and really be able to utilize the run to create a passing game. So, we have a balanced offense. His offense may not have been balanced when he got there. I know he was coming over from Southern, and I think Coach Oliver and Matt Leone worked together at Southern. And so I think that, when he got there, he had to make a quick U-turn on what he thought he was going to be able to call his philosophy and his scheme was going to be at Central. But as he's gotten his footing up under him, and he's taking advantage of the fact that he's got what I believe to be the best dual threat quarterback in the country in Davius Richard. He's done a heck of a job, man, kind of phasing that offense and centering that offense around the things that Davius Richard does best. And so, expect him to be, Saturday, expect him to, really not change too much up, man. I know that they've seen what they've seen on the film. They know what they've seen on the film. You're not going to see us become a brand new team in 2 weeks. You will expect that we will be who we going to be. And we believe that what we have and what we do can absolutely take advantage of what we see that's on the other side. So, only time is going to tell. There's a date set until 12 o'clock Saturday. We will see if what's on the other side can stop the most dynamic dual threat quarterback in the country.
Oh, bless your heart.
So we've heard about the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, Matt. Let's go over here to Jackson State. I'm going to ask you about the defensive coordinator first, obviously, since they'll be matching up against the offensive side. And I'm surprised if anybody doesn't quite know the defensive coordinator, Dennis Thurman for Jackson State University. Not necessarily just who he is and what he's done in the past, but in regards to how successful his defenses have been. As you see, Joshua taking notes over there. But you know that's what you do in this
well,
kind
they
of
had a
situation,
month.
right?
Yeah, no more notes need to be taken. They've had a month.
But tell us a little bit about what are your thoughts in terms of Dennis Thurman? Obviously, for the most part, they're going to do what they're going to do. But there is anything that you can tell us about when he watches films that he looks for to see about making his game plan?
Alignment and assignment. He preaches that all the time. And you know, the thing about it is, you know what you're going to get with Dennis Thurman. I mean, I think one of the things that everybody consistently talks about in regards to these Celebration Bowls, these matchups, is the physicality of the MEAC. And I think that has finally been answered with regards to this Jackson State team coming into the Celebration Bowl, because that's what they do. They are a physical bunch. They come after you. And, you know, principle number one, I've said it all year, principle number one is stop the run. They are the best in the nation, or one of the best in the nation at stopping the run. I believe they are sixth in the nation at stopping the run. They are the number one defense in the nation. Now, that being said, you know, I take my hats off to North Carolina Central having a dynamic quarterback and having, you know, one of the better offenses I think that Jackson State is going to see all season. But that being said, they're still going up against the number one defense in the nation, and they're going to come after you. They're going to, you know, number one, stop the run, and they're going to hope that you throw the football and, you know, let the chips fall where they may if you're going to throw the football, because, you know, your quarterbacks are going to get hit quite often.
Great answer, Chuck.
With that, I love this. Sticking with you, Charles. Now let's go back to the offensive side. Brett Bartolone, first year as the offensive coordinator with Jackson State University. Had some great success. Talk a little bit about what is the framework of how he goes in the game. What do you believe he's going to be looking to achieve in this matchup, particularly from a Jackson State perspective?
I mean, he's always looking to attack. I think that's one of the first things that Coach Bartolone brings to the table in terms of trying to attack a defense. But much like Josh mentioned, Jackson State's offense this season is much more balanced than it was last season. And I think that helps this offense. I mean, they're averaging 38 points a game. And when they get in the red zone, they're converting. When you take a look at it, 59 touchdowns on the season, only 13 field goals. But I mean, they try to take advantage of the matchups, and I've said this all season. When the ball comes out of Shadur's hands and they're in rhythm and they're on time, it is an extremely difficult offense to stop. And then, you know, because you're trying to stop the pass, it does open things up for Sivion Wilkinson. And Sivion Wilkinson, I've talked about what he's able to do. He is a 5'2", if you will, running back. You know, he runs in between the tackles. He bounces it outside. He catches the ball in the flat. He comes across the formation and catches passes. So he really does so much. And not only he, but the running backs behind him, they all have that dimension where they can catch the ball out of the backfield. And it adds another layer to this offense. So, you know, when it's in rhythm, it is extremely tough to stop. And again, a lot of people point toward the offensive line. You know, are they going to be physical enough? I think they've answered that question quite often this season.
Yeah, good points. Good points. Now, to counter that, in terms of what Jackson State is going to try to do on offense, we go to North Carolina Central, the Eagles, in terms of defensive coordinator Courtney Ford, defensive coordinator and defensive line coach. In terms of what they've done all year long, obviously has been relatively stingy in terms of what they've gotten done. But now they come up against Jackson State offense. In that framework, similar to what I asked Charles, what do you see the defensive coordinator looking at trying to get done in this Celebration Bowl matchup this Saturday?
Yeah, Doc, it all starts with Courtney Core's philosophy, man. His philosophy is fairly simple. He recognizes that in football, you're going to give something up. If what I give up beats me, then I'm not going to give it up. And if what I, don't give up can't beat me, then let's see if you can beat me with that. And You know, this is a guy who's coming off of being the defensive coordinator at the school down the highway, where he orchestrated, you know, multiple defenses there that won Celebration Bowl championships. He knows this game probably better than any other coach, probably that's going to be coaching on the field. Courtney Core was there. He was down the highway, but he's a North Carolina Central graduate. And the God truth is that understanding how to be able to play in moments like this and having a coach who understands how to coach in moments like this is very, very important, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. Here's some key points that I want people to take away from what they're expecting to see from our defense on Saturday. We will not change who we are. Our back seven.
Good.
Our back seven. There's a reason why our defensive player of the year for the conference was a DB. He was a DB that, in all honesty, he probably shouldn't have been playing this year, because we had some key injuries in our defensive back room. And this young brother had the ability to get some experience at a time where he probably should not have had to get some. But the second thing that's even more impressive is we've got a lot of these guys back that they don't have any film on. And this is where I believe is going to cause Jackson State's offense some problems, because the guys we have coming back on Saturday are matchup problems for the things that we've seen Jackson State, they just love to do. And they do it so often that it's created a tendency. So I look forward to being able to take advantage of that tendency. I look forward to seeing the most experienced coach on the field as it pertains to Celebration Bowl is Courtney Core. You know, he's coached in multiple Celebration Bowls. He's won multiple Celebration Bowls. And now he gets the opportunity to go out there on Saturday and coach this defense to be who they're going to be. I'm super excited about that side of the ball, because I absolutely know what Chuck knows is their weaknesses. And so we plan to extort that. We plan to take full advantage of that. And I can't wait. 12 o'clock can't get here no faster. They can't get there no faster.
Chuck,
I just want to take a second. Doc, if we can get a second, can I just go back and forth with Chuck just 1 second? Because I just think Chuck,
we got a little time. Y'all did so well. I give y'all a little time.
Listen, I think that Chuck, I adore Chuck's ability and what he's done in this game. I adore his alma mater and what they've done this season. And I appreciate that they are going to be here at this game. They're going to show up. They settled the waters today at the head coach's spot. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of 1400 Lynch Street. I just don't know what to say. But you ain't never seen 6'3", 220. And you ain't going to never see 6'3", 220 in this fashion ever again. And if y'all don't come with your chin strap buckled up for a grown man behind that quarterback spot, then you are setting yourself up for a long day. Because I've already gotten the word of what this young brother has seen. And Charles, you got something to do with the motivation that this brother has gotten this last 2 weeks. So please be prepared for Saturday. Bring your chin strap, bring your work pail, bring your hard hat, bring everything you can. Because if you don't stop number 11, this game is going to get ugly and ugly fast. That's all I got to see.
Okay,
Charles,
no problem.
you want to retort?
Yes, retort here. Joshua, just, let me put it out here for you. I've literally heard the exact same spiel since September 4th. Florida A&M had this just exuberant spiel on we know the tendencies, we know the weaknesses, and 59-3 happened. Tennessee State came back the following week, and 16-3 happened. Grambling had these same, magical delusions of grandeur, and 66-24 happened. Valley, well, they didn't even try. 49-7. Bama State, they did a little something. We went down on Montgomery Hamilton. I get this every week. I love it. I love the false bravado that is provided week in, week out by every school that Jackson State has seen this season. North Carolina Central will be no different. It is. I get it. We have to get 6'2", 220 down. He is a phenomenal athlete, but something tells me that the defense will be up for the challenge. I'm just positive of that. The running game. Oh, well, let me go back. Defense. I looked and saw that you guys are 5th in the MEAC in sacks. You do realize you're going to have to get Shedeur right. You have to get pressure on what you're doing, correct?
We're in a run conference. We're in a conference that runs the ball.
All right,
Come on.
all right.
Charles.
Just checking.
Every single team you just named don't have a Davius Richard if they pray to God to get one.
Okay.
You got to
This happens
understand
week in, week out. This happens week in, week out.
You're gonna get more of this. You're gonna get more of this. So make sure you tune in to us. We'll be in Atlanta on Thursday by the time you catch up with our next show. So we'll be able to give you an update of what that looks like. And then we plan to be on radio on Friday. So make sure you follow us. And then radio on Friday will probably be a closeout. We will do maybe a follow-up next Sunday in terms of what that looks like. Or at least I won't be able to do the show on Sunday. We'll check with the guys and see if they'll be able to bring it to you. We got a lot of moving parts. I want to be able to give you some updates because I'll be heading out from Atlanta to go to Las Vegas to make sure I catch the Chris Paul basketball tournament, the final 2 games. So I'll be able to switch and pivot after watching football and seeing a champion that is crowned at the FCS level, as we call it, the major division between the number 1 and number 2 team. I'll be able to slide into basketball and give you some of the best basketball programs. We'll debut the top 5 in terms of men's and women's basketball poll rankings next Tuesday. And based on what I've kind of put together, obviously some games will be played this week and depending on what happens in the tournament. But going into that, if I kind of did a preseason type poll ranking based on what people did in non-conference, you would see 2 of the top 5 teams participating in the tournament this past week. So it'll be fascinating to see what that looks like and what comes down in terms of the round ball starting to kick off conference type play with these matchups between HBCU programs on Sunday. But before we do all that, we get to really get excited as you see these 2 gentlemen are lathering up in excitement of a big time game. They gave you insights that you can't quite get anywhere else in terms of that information. That will be the Celebration Bowl that will be on ABC, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It should be fascinating. It will be sold out. Obviously, as I said, the 9-2 North Carolina Central number 2 will take on the undefeated 12-0 Jackson State team ranked number 1. I can't wait to this matchup. It is big time. MEAC, SWAC. What will happen as it all comes down? With that being said, thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Thank you for the support. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington. Charles Bishop, as Mike Washington's out on assignment. Look forward to every Tuesday and Thursday. As I said, we'll be in Atlanta. Obviously, we'll have Joshua Sims Sr. as he will be in Atlanta, getting it down there. He comes in Thursday. Obviously, we come in there. We'll be in there Wednesday. So we'll send you stuff. Follow us on social media platforms. That's Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, DrKenyattacavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Check out the pregame show. Also, make sure you check out HBCU Nightly. It's moving from Wednesday to Saturday, so you'll get a post-game report. Obviously, that'll help us a lot. I'll make sure I'll try to be a part of that since we are likely not to have a Sunday show. We'll stick with you, and so stick on it. We're going to see if we can make it happen, but it'll be difficult. We might have some where we mix in some basketball in there. As if I find a spot, we can make it happen. Check with Roy based on his schedule. We might go a little later in the day to figure all that out. Obviously, tonight you got BJ Jones with HBCU Top 5 Tuesday. He's already started some stuff off. Had a great interview this morning as he was on Coffee with football as he brought in. They usually look at the NFL. They did a special segment on HBCU Sports for the Celebration Bowl. I thought that was big. Shout out to BJ Jones. Check him out. Obviously, ONG Strike Zone on Wednesday. The pregame show continues to do its thing with Neely on Wednesday as well. Depending on their schedule, we'll see if they're going to be able to get that into you as well. And then obviously Saturday with Carlos Brown. So continue to check this out. Download my JVN, my BCSN on the apps as we continue to give it to you loud and proud. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon, Charles.
Of course.
Joshua.
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball.